Good morning, afternoon. I don't know why the hell I always say good morning when I sit in this chair. And I got up really early this morning too. It's weird. I have I guess it's because when I come in here and I make a video, it typically is morning, usually the middle to late morning, but I don't know. I'm just always assuming it's morning when I walk in this room. This could have something to do with it as well. The fact that I'm always sitting in here drinking coffee, but I drink coffee all day. So, well, I hope it's lovely where you are today. My goodness, in Florida, wow. I was out walking the dog and there was a huge clap of thunder, and then my watch went off with a lightning alert. And let me tell you something, in Florida, when you see lightning, or if you get like alerts on your phone, we know to take that seriously, because let me tell you something, getting hit by lightning is no joke. I know that when I used to go to college football games a lot with my husband, he's got season tickets to his alma mater and has had them since they first got a football team. And I believe the rule is, because it's an outdoor stadium, and if I'm not mistaken, from the first sighting of lightning, and I can't tell you how many, miles away it has to be, but from the first strike of lightning, when it meets whatever their, parameters are, everything stops, the clock stops, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they must wait 30 minutes until they can start the clock again. And that's assuming that there is not more lightning intervening in that time. And if there is, just keep on adding time to the clock. Oh, so let me say good morning to everyone. Wait. Oh, Mama Bear. Okay, it's 11:30 in your domain. I'm like, oh my God, did I lose an hour? I thought I gained an hour. Did I lose one? It's 12:34 here in Florida. Catherine, good afternoon. See, I almost did it again. How are you, Mama Bear? It's me, Amberly. How are you? Frankie's mom. Hi, how are you? I haven't seen you in an age. I hope you've been well. Nice to see you. Cool Gamer, how you doing? Wine, Crime, and Mayhem. I love that name. Fairy Dust Diaries, how you doing? Well, hi, Remy. Hey, Voices, how are you? Oh, 10:30 there. Yeah, that makes sense. Are you on Mountain Time? That's Mountain Time, right? Or is it? I told you my stepdad used to live in Jackson Hole, I think. His backyard was like the Grand Tetons National Park. I so want to go there to Wyoming. I want to go to Wyoming, and I want to go to Oregon. Hey, Mouse, how are you? Long time no see with you as well. I hope you're doing well. Stargazer Mom. Oh, yeah, there we go. That's West Coast time. 9:30. Glow with Glow. How are you? Hey, kid. Okay, in Denmark, it's 5:35 p.m., I'm assuming. Hey, SoFlo. Remy. I don't know if I said to y'all hello to you all or not yet. If I did, you get a double hello. Voices, sometime I am going to, next, he and my mom were there not too terribly long ago. She said it was just gorgeous. And interestingly enough, I've said this before, but I don't know if you heard it when I talked about it. When Gabby Petito's case was going on, okay, the coroner there, or what did they call him there? Did they call him the coroner? I believe they did. Dr. Brent Blue. Well, he was my stepdad's father, my stepdad's doctor when he lived out there, and friend. And he also used to eat at that restaurant all the time, the Mary Pigs, I think it was called. So that was kind of cool, having a little bit of insight into that. Oh yeah, my God, I know. My mom was showing me where he used to live, and yeah, beautiful. So do you have to take bear spray with you when you take the garbage out? My stepdad told me the one thing that he would never walk out of the house with, like when going to take the garbage wherever it goes, he said not only did he carry a very large firearm on his hip, he always had bear spray as well. And he told me that one of the most dangerous animals there is a moose, because of how huge they are and little teeny weeny tiny brains. Oh my goodness. Well, that kind of resembles someone that we're getting ready to talk about. Oh, and here I said I was going to give Betty an apology. I am. And I'm not even sure if I should be. But I'm going to err on the side of caution and the side of class, because God knows she knows nothing about that concept. So here's what I'm going to say. When we last convened, I had not read the complaint. I am still only about halfway through it. I did, just quickly scan it. Now, I said then, and I'm going to say it again here, probably in multiple places. Unlike some people on this platform, I don't run around screaming at you that I am a legally educated person. I have a legal education. I know what I'm talking about. I know the law, blah, 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 blah. But just because I don't go around screaming that at you and vomiting that on you every given moment in an attempt to make myself feel smarter than you, that just because I don't do that, that doesn't mean that I do not, as I've shared, I do have legal education in the form of, well, here's how it started. I was originally, when I went to college, I was originally going to get an AS degree in paralegal studies. I am one course short of that degree, which is, I want to say that one is 4 credit hours rather than 3. The only course that I need is legal research and writing. And believe it or not, back in the day, hi Moonshine, how are you? Audacity, Brick with Eyes, how you doing? Back in the day, when we are talking, okay, let me think, when I graduated from college. And I can do it because I finished up, here's a funny story. I finished up getting my associate's degree when I was heavily pregnant. In fact, I was almost like, oh, gee, wouldn't that be fun if I went into labor in class? I did not. The very last class I had to take was legal research and writing, and it was a relatively new course within the curriculum for the paralegal studies degree, because Lexis, and now I think we have Westlaw, LexisNexis, all of that was just becoming computerized. So I entered the college under one catalog, and the way it works is, at least where I am, the way it works is And when I tell you this, you guys are going to laugh. It took me a decade to get a 2-year degree. And the reason for that is I graduated from high school. I screwed around for, well, I lived in a house where it was like, okay, well, you have 2 choices here. You go to college or get a full-time job and get out on your own. So, and no, trust me, nobody had to tell me to get out on my own. I was dying to get out on my own. I had actually been accepted to the Parsons School of Design in New York City for fashion. And that, because I've always had these 2 interests in my life. I mean, my mom will tell you that I came out of the womb wearing stilettos and I was dipped in glitter and feathers. Hey, Brittany. So my mom and dad put the kibosh on me going to New York City to go to Parsons. They wanted me to go at the time. I don't know if it's still there or not. There was another school in Atlanta that was also, well, wait a minute now. Was it FIT or I can't remember. But what I do remember is I remember putting together the application where you had to put together like what we now call, like an inspiration board. Back then, they didn't have terms like that. You just had to do it. But I was rather wild as a child, and my parents were really, I mean, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. My mother told me years and years, decades later, that, in hindsight, she kind of wished she hadn't made the decision she did where I was concerned and going to New York City. But she will tell you, she truly was worried that something bad would happen to me because I was naive as hell. I was a bad combination of naive and wild. And my mom just said, we could not sleep at night knowing that we were setting you loose in New York City. So ideally, they would have had me go to this school in Atlanta first, get a little bit of, show them that I could, manage to stay alive and then transfer up to New York. But that's not what happened. I decided, okay, well, if I can't do that, then I'll get a job and I want my own apartment and I'll go to work and see what the real world is all about. And I mean, I have to say I was very blessed. My mom helped me find a really nice little, it was like a bungalow. Oh my God. When I think back on that, that was an amazing place. It was literally it was a detached, like mother-in-law apartment in a part of a city that is a lot of old historical homes. So that's what I did. And I went wild. Yes, I did. My mom set me up everything from forks to furniture and every damn thing in between. She paid my first, I don't know, maybe 3 months rent, all the deposits, and said, okay, you've got a head start. Now go out and you got to get a job because you're going to have to pay your bills. I mean, back then, we're talking maybe 1989, 1990-ish. No cell phones, etc. So that's what I did. I went out, I got a job, and I got a taste of that freedom I had wanted, well, probably since middle school. But it really, like, I had a curfew in high school. I hated that. I was like, that is so stupid. I was very spoiled. I mean, I was the kid who got a brand new car when she turned 16. What did I get? It was it was a sporty car. Oh, it was a Celica. And back in the day, I mean, that was a brand new, nice looking car. It was a 2-door, sporty, but not like sports car. And I just had no clue what the hell I was doing. And my parents' assumption was I would find out what the real world was all about, and that it sucks to have to work. I mean, I wasn't qualified to do shit. What did I know? But get a minimum wage job I did. And yeah, no, I didn't keep it. I was much too busy partying. So I would call my mom and I'm like, oh, Mom. Well, I told y'all about my one brush with the criminal justice system and my when I forged a $100 check for my newfound BFF, who conveniently, told me I do this all the time, but had me write it and sign it and make it out to myself. Oh, and cash it too. Because yeah, we were having fun. So I found out rather quickly when that flamed out. I couldn't pay the bills because, like I said, I was more interested in partying than I was working. So I went back home, and it was like, okay, honey, well, that part didn't work out. So now we're back to the college option. Okay, so that's what I did. I went into college. I think I was 19 or 20 when I went the first night. I was about 19 when I went the first time. And let's just say that it took me about a decade I went in under the catalog, and I believe it's still like this. In fact, I think whatever the curriculum is when you start your college career, yes, I took 10 years to get a 2-year degree. But that's because all kinds of intervening things happened, and I would go a semester, and I was very blessed. Back then, I had a fantastic, almost photographic memory. Now, not so much, but I did very well when I went. But you know how life is. I was young. I was wild. I was not ugly. And I had a really good fake ID, might I mention. So as you can imagine, well, lots of intervening things happened between semester 1, and then I would take a job waitressing or something, and you get a taste of that money, and it's like, oh, who needs college? The point is, when I went in, the program that I started in was I think they called it paralegal studies, and it was an AS degree. Well, at some point, I get married and I get pregnant. And what I ended up doing is accumulating so many credits, and a lot of the credits, because you've always got to take your core curriculum. So at some point, I decided, oh, yes, I did during that program, one semester, or no, it wasn't by semester. You had to have X amount of hours where you actually interned in a lawyer's office. And I did that. It was a family friend, so that part was easy. And listen, this was so long ago. This guy mainly did contract law. And I kid you not, he was a smoker. And I was a smoker back then. We would sit in the office at our desks, smoking cigarettes all day long, drinking coffee, doing whatever they told me to do for free. But that guy was super cool. And because he was a friend of the family, he would give me a small salary. Okay, so I did that. So as I was getting ready to finish up my hours there, Krug's, is it Krug's wifey? That's a new name I haven't seen. Welcome. Hi, Dustin. How are you? Tia. Audacity. Sorry, y'all. I accidentally yeeted myself. I don't know how I did that. Audacity. How are you? So, Flo, did I say hello to you? If not, hello. So as I was wrapping up my requisite hours of interning, that attorney got a ring-a-ding-a-ding from another attorney who is a family law attorney, and he was losing his, I think, one of only 2 paralegals he had ever employed in his office. He was a one-man show, and he reached out to the guy I was interning for, and he said, hey, do you know anybody? I need a paralegal. So-and-so is leaving. And he said, oh, well, hey, I've got this really, smart cookie that's interning for me right now. She's in the insert college name program. If you're interested, I will, she's still in school, but I'll send her over if you want to talk to her. And that's what I did. And he hired me. And at that time, I was really young, and his office was not exciting. Like I said, he was a one-man show. He was family law. He did a little bit of everything, but it was mainly skewed to family law. And really, most of what I did was, I had all the forms on my desktop. I would take the file and, from his, back then you did dictation. That's how long ago this is. Well, I worked there for a while and decided I just didn't like it. So I decided, you know what? I think I need to just get my associate's degree. I don't know if I want to be a paralegal anymore. So the way it ended up all shaken out is I am 1 course shy of an AS degree in paralegal studies. However, I did graduate with a general AA, Associates in Art, which I felt at the time was better because I could go right into a 4-year college if that's what I wanted to do, to get a bachelor's and, graduate work if I wanted to. I didn't want to. But when I was getting my AA, I, at the time, had, like many people, a almost pathological fear of public speaking. And I saved, I forget what they called it. It wasn't just speech. It was speech and something else. That was the only credit I needed before I could get my degree. So at that time, at that point in my life, I was literally 9 months pregnant when I started, and the course ended. And yes, I did get a B. It ended when my son was, oh God, I don't even think he was 1, maybe 1.5. I don't know. All of that was to say that while I have worked as a paralegal, it was not a long career. I only worked for that attorney, the one I interned for. Interestingly enough, his office was a ball, even though the subject matter, oh my God, it was dry as hell. It was, he did real estate and I think a little bit of tax law and a little bit of contracts maybe, but the main focus was real estate law. Oh yeah, very dry. But that office was way more fun because it was bigger and it was just fun. That was a great time in my life. But, you know, like all of us, life happens, and the path you think you're going down, you maybe don't. And that's what happened with me. And I did end up in working within the confines of fashion for, God, a couple decades, just shy of 2 decades, I think, which I loved. And I had freedom doing that. But I've always had an interest. Oh, hold on one sec, y'all. Hold on. Sorry, my husband came home. I didn't think he was due until the end of the day, so I left my office door open, and he stopped at the store, so he was putting stuff on the counter. I just went and shut my door. Hey, Kathy P, how you doing? Okay, so anyway, so when I looked over, I always maintained an interest in true crime and the law. Okay. Never say never, but pretty much never. That ship has sailed. I have thought about just going and taking the one class, but it's kind of like, for what? So I can have another piece of paper to hang on my wall? I don't need that. Listen, my husband, I think I've told y'all this before. My husband has a doctorate degree in computer science. And if I told you what he did his dissertation on, you would be like, huh? I didn't even know that was the thing. What is that? Let's just say it has to do with atmospheric satellites and whatnot. Not the most exciting thing, not for me anyway. But I tell you that because my husband never went to not one graduation ceremony for one degree. And don't think my mother-in-law does not remind him of that whenever she gets a chance. She'll say something like, well, didn't you think maybe I would want to go and see my baby get a, bachelor's, master's, doctorate? So for me, at the stage I'm in my life, while yes, I could take one class and get the official paralegal associate's degree, but I don't need it. So why would I? I'm busy. I've got lots of things to fill my time, and I don't feel the need to get another piece of paper. Now, if I were going to want to work again for a lawyer as a paralegal, well, yes, I would do that. Okay, so when I spoke the last time on this waste of a forest, I was thinking, how many trees did Betty kill to do this? Because if memory serves me right, it's 115 pages. So one for the clerk. I'm assuming she kept one for herself. We know Betty likes paper. I like paper. I only printed the complaint. I'm not printing all her bullshit exhibits. Hey, Running Bear, how you doing? But let's just say at the very least, Betty used about a ream of paper. And when I spoke on this before, I said, listen, dumbass, you don't put all your freaking evidence in the complaint. Well, I'm still not clear on this point. Because God knows I'm not taking her word for it, but I know really nothing about this type of complaint. There's a couple of things I'm not sure on. I have always thought that in a civil matter, which is what this is, that the parties are the petitioner, that's the one filing, Betty, and the respondent, is who's being sued. I've never heard plaintiff and defendant used in civil matters. I did a little bit of looking online, and I did see other defamation complaints using plaintiff and defendant. So I haven't looked far enough into it or done any digging to know whether or not that is in fact proper. And I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'm not wasting my time to do it, because trust me, there's so much more wrong with this thing that is just, but that did immediately pique my curiosity. I was like, why the fuck is she calling them plaintiff and defendant and not petitioner or respondent? And without having looked, the only answer I can come up with is that possibly because of the amounts of money here. But that was one thing. But the main thing that I yammered away at her about when I said, listen, dumbass, you don't put all your evidence in the complaint. Well, I am probably wrong about that. And she could very well be correct in how she did this. And if that is the case, then I apologize for what I said, which is basically you're a dumbass. You don't do that. I made those statements with the experience I have had with the law in family law, and really what I was thinking was more in the criminal realm. So I'll go ahead and assume that is proper form. I don't know if it is or not. Oh, Remy. So am I? Hey, Rowena, how you doing? So am I vindicated? Okay, so hey, nonsense. How are you? Okay, so here I'm going to say this. I'm giving her a conditional apology. I very well could have been wrong when I told her she was a dumbass for putting all of her evidence in the complaint. I stand by everything else I said. I promise you, Betty, just let me tell you how many pages I've gone through. I actually gave up with the highlighter on page 7 because I thought, well, all I'm really ending up doing here, I'm just highlighting everything. And then I'm making all these notes in the, the margins or underneath, wherever I can fit them in. So I thought, well, screw it. You know how fast highlighters run out of ink? I said, we're just going to go through it line by line. So I don't know if I was wrong and it is proper form in a complaint of this kind in this jurisdiction to put all of your evidence in the complaint, then my bad, and I apologize. But what I do know, and I absolutely firmly stand on, whether it's proper form or not, this right here, this is nothing but a 115-page temper tantrum from a very, very immature woman who cannot take any form of criticism or pushback. You cannot challenge her thoughts. Betty cannot have a civil discourse. She simply can't do it because she takes every statement that is contrary to hers or her way of thinking as a personal attack that she is then going to, vomit some heinous shit all over you. Honestly, and this isn't me throwing shade at her because I think she's a wretched bitch. It's well established that I think she's a wretched bitch. Hey, literally Davis fam, how you doing? Well, Illinois newspaper, that's what she specializes in. In my opinion, this is nothing but a strong arm tactic. Okay. Hey, Boston Dick, how you doing? This is her way of, in my opinion, sending a message to all the rest of us out here. Betty, do you know you are actually a cottage industry? Did you know that? There are whole channels dedicated to clowning you. And Betty, they are not all wrong. This truly is just a very poorly written, poorly conceived, written temper tantrum. That's what this is. And there are some very noticeable things missing from this, which makes me wonder if it's even, there are some things missing on here that are required to be there. And I wonder, well, hold on a minute. We're gonna go in an order. We're gonna go in an orderly fashion here, or we're gonna try. Still dragging her on TikTok? Yeah, you know what? Listen, y'all, I'm a big believer of the expression, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I have always wondered, why did she leave TikTok? Because I believe she had a lot of followers there. I think she had more than she's got here. So why fix something that's not broken? And I've heard all kinds of reasons for it. In fact, more than one person has told me that it was TikTokers who published her criminal record because they were so pissed at her. I mean, it's unfortunate, but my opinion on all of this is, as I've stated many times before, there's nothing special about Betty. She's mean. She's vindictive. She's petty. She's hateful. She's unable to take criticism or dissent of any kind. She definitely is not aesthetically pleasing. So this is how she gets the attention that she so badly craves. It's just like when your kids are little and you tell them that, you know, all attention is not created equal. And you don't want to, yeah, if you're the class clown, if you're the kid who sits in class and you interrupt the teacher, or you're throwing stuff across the room, or, you're playing comedian as you're, getting up out of your seat while the teacher's putting something on the, well, I was going to say blackboard, but we don't use those anymore. Then I thought overhead projector, but we don't use those either. So as the teacher's, typing on her audio visual equipment, the lesson for the day, and you're the kid that's standing behind her doing a little dance or something, yeah, you're going to get attention, but that's not the attention you want. You don't want to be known for being an ass clown, and that's what Betty's known for. She's known for being an ass clown with incredibly bad hair, and a bully mentality. Betty, most people, we all have our own strategies for how we deal with people who talk shit about us, whether it's deserved or not. And the way Betty deals with, even within her own chat, she just can't allow. What's so ironic about her is she wants everybody to think that she's this, big constitutionalist. Yeah, as long as it's not directed at her. Betty wants to be able to say and do whatever she wants where everyone else is concerned. But you are not going to get the same consideration. because she's so insecure and unsure and inferior to her peers in so many ways. She uses what she has, and what she has is a lack of manners, a lack of good taste, a lack of judgment, etc. As her lengthy criminal and civil docket history clearly demonstrates. She to me is delusional in her thinking, because she will stare straight at you as she's screaming. And she will say things like, I haven't had law enforcement involvement in 15 years or some such thing, knowing full well that many channels, burnt toast only one of the many, have pulled up every mugshot, all the docket entries, and it's clear to see in black and white that it is other than what she is trying to tell you. I mean, it's irrefutable. And that ain't normal. Not to me. I mean, I truly wonder with her if she, number one, appreciates just how many people can not stand her. It's a lot. And it's for good reason. I mean, I don't need attention that bad. But I've got a lot better tools in my toolbox than Betty has in hers. And I will never believe that I question whether or not she even graduated from high school. And this, along with everything else I have said, and I am going to say, that is not, backed up by some tangible proof, is my opinion. And I'm not telling any of you that you need to share my opinion. These are my thoughts and opinions, and mine alone. Hey, Take Kelly, how you doing? Wedding pictures? Oh God, no. Ooh, I can only imagine. I personally question whether or not she even has a high school diploma. And I say that because she is incredibly poorly spoken. She's, my God. This document is so riddled with I'm just going to read it. That's the best way to do it. And you're going to see exactly what I'm saying. She doesn't seem to have clarity of thought. There are so many places where she starts off the beginning of the sentence with one thing, and by the end, I have no idea what is she saying, because it's that convoluted. And I can only base my opinions on someone's intellect and education level based on my own and people that I have interacted with and currently interact with here on YouTube, and more importantly, in my real life. And she does not speak or write as someone who is educated past, if even at, a high school level. I don't believe that she has college under her belt. If she wanted to prove it, and I don't need her to prove it, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the proof is in the pudding. I don't need to see a piece of paper that, I mean, let's face it, we all know that everything can be photoshopped. But, you know, just because someone says they called a school she allegedly went to and they said, oh, yes, she attended here, I don't care. I am, like I said the other day, I can tell you I am an astronaut. I can scream it from the mountaintops. But if I sit down with a fellow astronaut and I can't speak about quantum physics and whatnot and other, you know, rocket science-y things, and I actually have a family member that is a legit rocket scientist, worked on one of the biggest, well, I can't say much because it could dox me, but you just have to take my word for it, or don't, doesn't matter to me. I know brilliant when I talk to it. I know intelligent when I talk to it. I know dumbass when I talk to it. So that's just my opinion. I am of the opinion that, because we've all seen enough of her on YouTube. Now I've seen how she writes. I mean, we've seen that other places, but this, I'm sorry. I would be embarrassed. I would be embarrassed if I put my name on this. And that's why I said this morning, sweetie, you didn't need to put that you were pro se. I promise you the judge got that loud and clear. Not that the judge has even seen this pile of shit yet, but do you know that judges and every legal professional in the courtroom absolutely detest dealing with any pro se litigants, even the smart ones, which she is not. But even when they're well-versed and they're intelligent, they hate it because it takes more time. They have to sometimes give a little more latitude as to, I mean, a pro se litigant is still expected and held to the same standard as a practicing attorney. That's, you know, that's the theory anyway. And you are, but judges do typically give a little more latitude when it comes to, you know, they get more time. They can, no, the judge cannot instruct any of them on the law, but we have all seen a judge who kind of throws a life ring to a pro se litigant and they'll say something along these lines. You know, the pro se litigant will say something, the defense says, objection, Your Honor, hearsay, or, you know, whatever the problem is, the objection they're making. And particularly in hearsay cases, you'll hear the judge say something like this. If they're feeling charitable, they'll say that the form of the question is improper. You can't talk about what someone else told you. So phrase the question like this. Do you have any personal knowledge of watching? Did you personally hear or see John Doe, blah, blah, blah? That's what I mean when I say latitude. And we're going to add to that now. So this judge, if this ever even gets to the judge's desk, which I'm assuming it, I don't know though, it may not, but if it does, and it's a fucking phone book, I'm going to tell you this, and I will find it if anybody wants to see it. This morning, I Googled something. I wanted to see another complaint for defamation Do you know that I pulled up a New York State Supreme Court complaint? How many pages do you think it was? Well, if you said 29, you would be correct. 29 pages. To her, 100 and what, 15? My understanding is, well, I know I tried to click on a few of those links and none of them worked. And Betty, you should have probably included a glossary of terms, because there's many places here where your dumbass just assumes that the poor bastard who's going to have to read this, the judge, or, you know, maybe it's female, I don't know. But you think they're going to know names like lol cow, troll. We're going to go through it. You're going to hear them throughout. And she offers no explanation as to what those words mean. I mean, it would be like, I could put it this way. I can promise you, I could say those terms to any of my family members that do not partake of social media, or definitely not in this manner. Do you think they would know what any of the, hell, I didn't know what lol cow was. I had to look it up. I'm not kidding you. When I first saw Burnt Toast and she was talking about lol's cows, I was like, I said to my husband, honey, what the hell's a lol cow? He's like, a what? I don't know. I mean, my husband watches finance and whatnot on YouTube, not this bullshit. So the point I'm making is she didn't even give the reader, who, by the way, the reader is, well, does she want a bench trial or a jury trial? No matter. You should have included, if not an explanation in parentheses, a brief explanation of what that term meant, you should have attached, well, goddamn, you attached 100 friggin' pages of exhibits. You couldn't like type out a little glossary of, I don't know, at least 5 or 6 terms. It's just dumb. It's, the whole thing is stupid. Hey, Follow the Grain, how you doing? Hi, Zen, how are you? Hi, Tia. Oh, yes, don't you worry. Hold on a minute. Audacity, yes, that's, we're gonna get to that. Here's something I noticed that is noticeably missing from this document. And it goes on every single filing, a complaint, a motion, a proposed order, whatever the case may be. There is no certificate of service on this complaint. I have never seen that in my life. And gee, I wonder if that's because the alleged, well, I guess alleged isn't the proper term, because they are definitely stated in the complaint, but the parties, the litigants in this lawsuit, the opposing parties, they have not received, they have not been served said lawsuit, which might explain why there's no certificate of service on here. There should have been a summons returned to the clerk of the court stating that complaint was hand delivered to the parties. But the certificate of service is nothing more than a version of, I, so-and-so, hereby do affirm that the above foregoing document was, you know, either mailed, emailed, personally served, whatever the case may be, on whatever date and time to, and then you name the other parties. So very interesting that that was not there. Okay, so Now let's just get into this train wreck. My God. I mean, yeah, I wrote down 100 pages of temper tantrum. That's what this is. This is nothing but, like, what I find so interesting about Betty is she is so, my God, for someone who is so obsessed with micromanaging how other people see her. Well, girl, you are, I mean, you're an embarrassment to the tribe that we call female. Okay. You're a hot mess. You have 0 F's clearly about how you present yourself. So it's interesting to me that you are so wound up in a very childlike mentality, which is, I'm right, you're wrong, and I'm right. And if you don't think I'm right, you're stupid. You're not educated. I mean, there's nothing like a bitch who's never met punctuation and how to properly use it, or cannot seem to string together a paragraph of coherent thoughts. When I tell you that there are multiple places in here, and I'm only, what did I tell you I got to? Page 7, the top of page 7. So let's just call it 6 complete pages. And the first is just the style of the case. When I say that I had to, sorry, something popped up on my screen. When I say that I had to go back multiple times and insert my own punctuation so that I could understand what she was saying. Most of this is just one long, incoherent run-on after another. I mean, I know some people say, oh, yeah, you're the grammar police. You're right, I am. I am the fucking grammar police. Because you know what? I represent at least I try to represent for the educated tribe, okay? Those are my people. That's where I want to be. And when you are filing a lengthy court document that you know, and in my opinion by design, is going to be read and torn apart and scrutinized by all of your peers on YouTube, and you can't even be bothered to make sure you use punctuation and proper usage and grammar. And you know why you do that? Because it needs to flow for the reader. The reader needs to have ease of reading and absorbing the material. And you don't, because the wording is awkward. There's no punctuation. She constantly switches from, she'll start off saying the defendants, and then she'll say a few more words and she'll switch to singular, she. So let's say, for example, the defendants walked down the street to the store. When she got there, she bought a Coke. Shit like that constantly. Who does that? That is, listen, it's not, this is not, this is not going to appear in Westlaw anywhere. Let's just say that. Yeah. It just blows my mind that this thing is so riddled with errors. And here's the thing, and I can tell you this, and I know this to be a fact, and it's not just in the law, but most especially in law. The law is a dense enough subject as it is, with tons of nuance. The law is, my God, so many things are open to interpretation, the way a statute is read, the way a procedure is read, etc., that legal professionals, most especially judges and attorneys, they don't really enjoy it when you can use 20 words to say what needs to be said, but you choose to use 500 and 400 of them are used wrong because you think it makes you sound smart. No, it just makes what's already convoluted more convoluted. She's just, God, unbelievable. And here's another thing to bear in mind for those of you that might think I'm just nitpicking her because I can't stand her. You're right. I can't stand her. I have zero use for her. She's, in my opinion, she's a not very bright bully is what she is. Okay. If she were a dog, she'd be, well, I'm not going to go there. I know what I would say, but I know there's people that enjoy that particular breed, so I won't go there. But I'm just looking at the comments a little bit. Audacity. Interesting you say that because I did hear Rabbit on Down the Rabbit Hole. I heard her talking when she was reading this complaint the other day, and she said, well, my goodness, that she was looking for something, and lo and behold, the exact words appearing to have been copied and pasted from another website right into Betty's complaint. Now, how's that for some irony? And I'm not saying she did, but if she did, I mean, wouldn't that just be like a dumb bitch to do? To file a complaint and use plagiarized material in said complaint. I'm not saying she did that. I haven't looked for myself. I am going to. But for anyone who, wants to say that, well, you're just nitpicking because you don't like her. You're right, I don't. But as far as nitpicking goes, the law, everything in the law is governed by procedures and statute. And for this, you would be dealing with the rules of civil procedure in this jurisdiction. And, while many statutes and procedures are open for different people, interpret them differently, that doesn't change the fact that the law is very much about precision and things being clearly and properly stated. And she cannot even be bothered to use correct punctuation. I mean, there's a reason that we have punctuation. There's a reason, like when I'm speaking to you, that I pause at certain points. And if you're a smart person, hell, you don't even have to be a smart person. If you're smarter than her, you know that, when I am speaking and I stop for a moment, well, that would either be indicative if someone was transcribing my words. Well, you would either put a period or perhaps an exclamation point in my case, or a comma. Oh my God, maybe a semicolon. There's a reason these things exist in the effective communication of the English language, whether that's written or spoken. So I don't care if someone thinks it's petty. You are asking either a judge or a jury to penalize someone for their opinions of you. I mean, that's my interpretation of it. But you can't, you don't even, Betty, I guess in wrapping this portion of that up, I guess the best way to say it is, listen, if it had been me, I would have read through this. It would have taken me multiple drafts. I would have read the draft at least God knows how many times before I ever passed it off to the person I wanted to check me, my husband, or, someone else in my family or a close friend. I would have then taken their, because Betty, this is what intelligent people do. They want other people to give their input on something like this. And you would value someone who would say to you, well, I think this right here, it was really difficult to understand. So maybe if you use the word or the phrase, insert word. Betty, I promise you, she didn't do that. She didn't even do a good enough job of checking herself. You think she's gonna, oh God. I mean, I could go on all day about this, but I don't want to. So, I'm just looking at my little notes here. Yeah, Betty, as I read through this, the one repeating theme, besides the fact that you are immature as hell, you are a child. And the repeating theme, not just in this document, but in your shitty life, is that you don't take any personal responsibility, or you don't think you're culpable at all in anything. To read this document, you would think that, oh my goodness, look how mean these people have been to her. Of course, that would have to assume that all this was true. I mean, you're going to get the irony of many of these statements in here that she's complaining about, oh, poor woe is me. And Betty, I'm going to tell you again for the millionth time, this isn't a job. But by the way, when's the last time you had a job? Has it been so long that you don't know what a job is? Yeah, because I know I wouldn't hire you. I wouldn't hire you to cut my fucking lawn. I wouldn't let you scrub my toilets either, because I'd be worried that, Yeah, you don't, your record doesn't exactly paint you as a trustworthy and no, we'll just leave it there. Yes, Blow. Didn't you love that? Seriously, can you imagine this judge sitting here going, what the hell's a tragedy pimp? I mean, that would have been the part, if it had been me, I would have done a small attachment, or better yet, just in parentheses after they called me a tragedy pimp, I would have said a tragedy pimp is a euphemism that is used on social media platforms such as YouTube to characterize someone who benefits and uses victims of crime and or perpetrators, families, etc., uses their unfortunate circumstances to enrich themselves. Very simple. Instead, she says nothing. And this judge is going, I guarantee you, eventually, well, if the JA is young, that's assuming this gets to the judge, to where they actually read it. There's a lot of problems with this, you guys. To me, it's incorrect as to its form. And she has not affected service of process. She cannot prove that she has had either one of the, I'm going to say respondents. I don't know why she's using defendants. She cannot prove that they have been served a summons and complaint. And more importantly, she acts like the state of Illinois has jurisdiction over Heels in the Air, who resides in Texas. They do not. They don't. So lots of problems. to play one thing before I start reading this. I went back and I want you to hear what this idiot who has a legal education. Okay, well, I personally do not believe that. I don't believe you even have a high school education. But hey, Headstones, how you doing? I want you to listen to what this legal scholar says. I've got it queued up, I think, about 1 minute in. You'll know it when you hear it, because it'll be the part where I'll start laughing. Okay, hold on. Let me get my little mouse working here. Okay, present. Okay. All righty, here we go.
This lawsuit with Crude was never a joke. And he lied to his audience. He lied to each and every one of you. I'm not a frivolous lawsuit suer.
I am not a frivolous lawsuit suer. Oh boy, yes, spoken like a highly educated woman with not only college education, but legal education. I am not a frivolous lawsuit suer. Suer, yes, Your Honor, I rest my case. Yes, the state is asking for the death penalty. How hilarious is that? I can't believe. Well, I think last we met, we meaning me, had been going on so long that I tune her out at a certain point. I just can't listen to that nasty bitch anymore. But when I saw that this morning, I was going back and looking at something. I laughed my ass off. I am not a frivolous lawsuit suer. An educated person, Betty, would have said, I would like you to show me where I've ever filed a frivolous lawsuit. So, Betty, let's see, what's the I can't give you the timestamp. Well, about an hour and 13 minutes in. If you want to just, follow my lead and figure out how to say something like, oh, I don't know, like you've got more than an 8th grade education, especially since you're a legal professional. God, she is an idiot. How funny is that? I am not, you show me where I'm a frivolous lawsuit suer. You got the sewer part right. Stupid bitch. And yes, that is my opinion. Okay, here we go. Are you ready for this, kids? Oh, God. Oh, God, sorry. Sorry about that. Well, Betty, you remember what I said about... No, never mind. I was going to say maybe Betty should get a low-cut dress. But no! God, no, please don't do that. All right, I don't need the mouse here at the moment, so we're going to move that out of my way. All right, let me just take a little sip of water here. Oh, Remy, yes, when she said, let's not forget that. The clip where BHB says, I'll find out where your kids go to school. That was towards Craig. That's why I said, hi, Helen Highwater, how are you? That's why I said the other day, Betty, you are opening up a can of whoop ass that you don't want. Because you are going to look a million times worse than anything you have said in this complaint about the two defendants, respondents, whatever you want to call them, who haven't been served, by the way. So, yeah, tell me how that tastes once it happens. All right. Yeah, I really would like to know why she's using plaintiffs and defendants instead of petitioners and respondents. And it, like I said, it may very well be correct. I just was always under the assumption that anything in the civil realm is petitioners and respondents, but you know, I've seen it both ways, so I don't know. Okay, we don't need to read 2. We don't need to read. Okay, on the second page under jurisdiction and venue, paragraph number 4. This court has personal jurisdiction over the defendants because the defendants reside in the 9th Circuit of whatever county, Illinois. To which I wrote, no, idiot. One respondent lives in Illinois, in that circuit. The other respondent does not. So there we go. Right off the bat, number 1, second page, jurisdiction and venue. We've already got a glaring problem. I mean, what is she thinking? That she's just going to slide that in there? That heels in the air doesn't live in this jurisdiction? She's just going to, just. And trust me when I say it sets the tone, okay? Oh, Grain, she's a blithering idiot. She is. And yes, that is my opinion. Okay, parties. I'm not going to read 6. I don't need to read 7. Number 8, defendant Queen Bee and the Hive, collectively Queen Bee. So let's see. There's usually anywhere between, let's say on the very lowest end, 650 in chat, up to, 1,000 and in excess of 1,000. So I'm one of them. Am I also included in this now? Do I have to, is this like a class action suit? Do I have to start saving my shekels? Queen Bee, am I going to have to get in my closet and sell a damn pair of shoes to help defend this lawsuit? You know what I would do? Oh my God. I promise you this. If this goes, I don't know how it would, but if this gets to where it actually goes to court because they decide to, counterclaim or whatever the case may be, I'm saying right here and now, I will auction off a pair of my Louboutins and give all the proceeds to Queen Bee and Heels in the Air. I'll even autograph them if you'd like me to. Okay, so number 4. Oh, no, I'm sorry, we did 4. Okay, 8. Defendant Queen Bee and the Hive, collectively Queen Bee, is a sole proprietorship. What? Now, maybe Queen Bee does have an LLC or I guess a sole proprietor would not be the same thing as an LLC. So maybe she does have a business entity entitled Queen Bee. I don't know if she does or not, but Betty is certainly talking as she does. So if not, I don't know why Betty thinks that because you have a YouTube channel that makes you a sole proprietor of a business. No, it makes you a YouTube content creator. So I don't get it. I don't know why she put that in there. Owned by Redacted with the principal business of Redacted. Number 9, defendant Redacted, DBA, Heels in the Air, paren, Heels, is a party who engages, encourages, and helps incite others, and is a moderator on Queen Bee's channel and has incorporated herein. Do you notice how awkward and vague that is? I'm going to read it again. Heels in the Air is a party who engages, encourages, and helps incite others and is a moderator. Engages what? Engages who? Helps who do what? Helps, incites what? With who? I mean, it's absurd. It is absolutely stupid. And if you don't think that whoever ends up reading this, if that ever happens, and I'm not saying it will because I don't believe it will, but I mean, what? Do you want to finish? I mean, what are the little voices telling you? Did they stop to take a nap? What does that mean? You're just kind of left hanging there like, yeah, carry on. Tell me more. No, please don't. Shut the fuck up. That would be better. Oh, God. And has been oh, well, that's Betty. That's lovely that you've decided that Heels in the Air is incorporated here on in along with Queen Bee. Wrong. She's not. Maybe in your little mind she is, but in the eyes of the law, I would love for Betty to explain to me how a judge in Illinois has jurisdiction over another party in a defamation case in Texas. So, Betty, that's great that you think Heels in the Air is incorporated herein. She is not. And I mean, that could be interpreted. I could think of a few places Betty might be going with that, but I'm not going to because it's all stupid. Heels creates, dumb bitch. There's an S on the end of there. Because as she wrote it, Heels create her own videos. Kind of like, show me where I'm a, how did she put it? I'm a something lawsuit sewer. I mean, that, she is so lazy. This is the second page of this pile of shit right here. And she has typos already. Something that simple that if you had proofread it, you would have fixed that. And I don't care who thinks that I'm being petty. This is supposedly a legal document filed with a court as the basis for her to try and get a monetary award from them. And she can't even use proper English. Well, thanks, Literally Davis. Lisa loves you too. Yeah, listen, I'm not the channel for anybody whose delicate sensibilities are going to be, flustered. No, I don't pussyfoot around this, and I'm giving you my opinion, and nobody will ever say I'm not like, this is me. This is me. Now, you can maybe understand why my husband was so glad I started a YouTube channel, so he didn't have to listen to this shit. I promise you, you are getting me. I'm not this is not a watered, well, it definitely wouldn't be watered down. Hey, Stella Villa, how you doing? Okay. Let's read that sentence again, shall we? And I'm not going to stop, and then I'm going to ask a question. Defendant, DBA, Heels in the Air. Heels is a party who engages, encourages, and helps incite others, and is a moderator on Queen Bee's channel and has been incorporated herein. Heels create her own videos with the assistance of Queen Bee in an effort to further defame plaintiff. Can anybody tell me what the hell that means? I mean, what was the reason for her saying Heels create her own videos with the assistance of Queen Bee. Like, how does she plan on proving that she knows any of this? That's what I want to know. I mean, the judge or the attorney that's going to get this on the opposing side, I would imagine, if it ever got that far, which I don't think it will. Betty, thank you, Jesus. They can't see inside your head. I'm sure they'd need to Lysol themselves if they could. So they don't really have the ability. They don't speak Betty, because they're educated. So they're not going to understand what the hell any of this means and how you plan on proving that. Hi, Menace. How are you? Let me read that. Oh, the final verdict. We gave her the death penalty. Summary judgment. Judgment for the plaintiff, me. Oh, is it true your Auntie Betty is fixing to destroy Queen Bee? Oh, in her dreams. Here's where Betty's going to find out. Well, Menace, you missed the part where I said that on the extremely off chance that this ever goes anywhere, which I am of the opinion it will not. But if it does, I have already volunteered to auction off a pair of my Louboutins, and all the proceeds will go to the Legal Defense Fund for Heels and Queen Bee. Because unlike Betty, there will be legions of people who will line up to help defer costs of defending against a bullshit lawsuit like this. Oh, Remy, that's an excellent point. Heels is not monetized. No, she's not. Oh, B-Tim, yes. I've been on here for an hour and a half. We haven't even gotten to the bottom of page 2. And this is a pile of shit, is what this is. It's riddled with issues. Nature of action. I mean, if it was me, I would have called it cause of action, but nature or nurture? What, like? Okay. Comes now plaintiff Andrew Griffin, acting as pro se in this action. No shit, Sherlock. Trust me, that came shining through, a paragraph ago on page 1. Pardon me just one moment. Oh my God, I just saw a very ominous looking weather map. A 24-hour stream. Oh, listen, I couldn't make sense of this in 24 hours. I did play part of Betty's greatest hits when she said, "Show me where I am a frivolous lawsuit suer." I can't get past that. That's how a 5th grader speaks. Well, I'm probably not giving enough credit to the 5th grade. That's how a 2nd grader speaks. You show me where I'm a frivolous lawsuit suer. Well, I can definitely, never mind. Comes now plaintiff Andrew Griffin, acting as pro se in this action, brings this complaint for defamation, libel, slander, tortious interference with prospective economic advantage, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Could I file as an interpleader for my own intentional affliction of emotional distress for having to read this pile of shit? Can I do that, do you think? I mean, I bet I have as much of a legal claim as Betty does. I need to look into that. I don't know if I'd be called an interpleader or an interloper. They call it, like in family court, I believe it's called an interpleader. Defendant, Queen Bee, and Heels Channels. Bitch, you should have put an apostrophe after heels, since you're indicating possession, which is denoted by the apostrophe after the S. Idiot. And Heels channel on YouTube. Collectively, defendants. No, we have a jurisdiction issue, Betty, that you cannot, it's insurmountable. This court doesn't have jurisdiction over Heels in the air. How does she not know this? Oh, take Kelly, just to be safe, do both. I wrote no trans. Okay, number 10. Plaintiff. Oh, here, get your boots. Get your boots out. Hold on. I need to get my press pass. Since now we're bringing media credentials into this. So pardon me. I am also a member of the media. And as such, wouldn't y'all think I would just leave this damn press pass somewhere where it's easy to get? Since I talk about how many times have I had to get into this credenza to get my press pass? Hold on, let me put it on. Oh, I don't think it's going to match my outfit very well, so I don't know if I want to mess up my V-neck here with my press pass. But I'll just get it out just in case, because much like court TV is probably going to be out in the hallway reporting on this case. Well, here's I got my press pass. Betty, do you remember this? The well-dressed, literate media. Okay, I'm not going to put it on because, girl, unlike you, I'm not a fan of a lanyard or one of these things. No. But I'll keep it here in case, in case the AP pool photographer needs my press pass to give me a link. Okay, carrying on. Menace, by the way, your videos of late, well, always, but of late, listen, not many people get, that I listen to on the regular, get a compliment from my husband on production value, but he actually stopped on the way into his office and he said, damn, that's some pretty good production value he's got going on. And I agree. And the subject matter, boy, I used to love Unsolved Mysteries back in the day. My God, I love that show. Hey, no wire hangers, how are you? All right, carrying on. Got that. Number 2. Plaintiff is an independent journalist. Yes, her credentials are as legit as mine. And a truth and transparency advocate. Really? Then why do you lie so much if you're a truth and transparency advocate? What exactly is that? I mean, I come from a time where, you don't have to announce, kind of like I told that horrible, wretched Black queen woman. I don't know anybody who's ever led with, hi, I don't have any felonies on my record and I can carry a firearm. I mean, that's kind of what this means to me. It's like, doesn't it go without saying that you should be a truth and transparency advocate? I mean, just saying. But I think Betty missed the part of the game of life where in the game of life, do you think they had people that lived in that neighborhood with arrests for all the things Betty's been arrested for? Is that why she thinks it's some kind of street cred or something to lead with? I am a truth and transparency officer. I am too. That's why I can't stand you. is an independent journalist and a truth and transparency advocate who covers true crime cases nationwide by traveling to locations of interest and reporting from the scene on her YouTube channel, shameless plug, Bullhorn Betty, for her 24,000 plus subscribers. Plaintiff has dedicated her career to helping victims and victims' families and bringing attention to cases that have gone unsolved in an attempt to bring closer to the families and our victims. So let me get this straight. You going to Georgia to Quentin Simon's house and bringing a circus of white trash idiots like you to disturb the peace and tranquility of, the homeowners that live there who had nothing to do with any of this, who couldn't, how did the chief put it, enjoy the peaceful tranquility of their own homes or something like that. That was being done. What, do you mention that part anywhere in here? Because I'm not understanding. And let's not forget that most of these places she goes, nobody sent for you, Betty. Nobody sent for you. And you neglected to mention that you were literally raking money in, as well as getting numerous, like it was a big tailgate party. You were getting Uber Eats, you were getting in fights with the neighbors. Is that who is that helping besides you? Yeah, Menace. There's nothing famous about her. Betty's a legend in her own mind, and no one else's. And Betty, I've told you and all your compatriots at one time or another that being famous is most assuredly not the same thing as being infamous, and you are infamous at best, and you're not even that. You're nothing, and you're nobody, just like all the rest of us. Some of us are just much more attractive and better dressed and better spoken at being nobodies than you are. Cases that have gone unsolved. Yes, and in Betty's world, well, she's going to give you about 47 minutes to solve it. And God help you if you don't. Because if you don't solve that case in 47 minutes to her satisfaction, she is going to be on your yard with a picket sign and a bullhorn and a very ugly male companion. Well, probably several. A lot of overweight people. Yeah. Defendants run multiple YouTube channels and have repeatedly published defamatory statements about plaintiff on her Queen Bee channel. Well, you say defendants, which would indicate more than one, but you seem to be attributing everything on Queen Bees to Heels in the Air in some way. What about all the other moderators on there and people who sit on the panel? Why are they not named in here? I'm just curious, because if we're going to use Betty's logic, and by my observation, there are several panel members who are there with more frequency and duration than Heels in the Air. So Are they going to get drug into this? That's just what I'm wondering. Number 12. Heels. No quotes or anything, just heels. Oh, we're now using the very familiar. I mean, we're not even going to refer to her as heels in the air. She just wants the judge to refer to her as heels, just like, all the rest of us do. Oh, y'all, I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. This is. Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, Mike Stevens. God, you love to taunt me, don't you? Okay. Where were we? Oh, yes. Heels is a moderator. Now, do you think that the person reading this will have any idea what the fuck a moderator is? Because I can promise you this. Before I was on YouTube, if you had asked me, sorry, the women will understand this. Like when your lipstick, it gets dry and it starts feeling icky. Before I was on YouTube, if you had said to me, what's a moderator? I wouldn't have known what the hell a moderator was in reference to YouTube. Hey, Mom of a Gladiator. I mean, obviously, I know what a moderator is, IRL. But in terms of this suit, she doesn't even explain what it is. Just assumes judge is going to know, or whoever, whatever poor bastard gets this. I'm just curious, when she said she's only going to address it once and we're not going to talk about it again. How many times has she talked about it since then? And if she hasn't, give her time, she will. She won't be able to help herself. She simply cannot let anything go by. Betty, I could give you some strategies for how to do that, girl. Okay. Number 13. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I didn't finish. Heels is a moderator that helps run the Queen Bee channel. Why does she think that? Because she has a cartoon wrench and a cartoon crown? Like, where does she get this shit? And why does she not understand? If she's going to memorialize this as an allegation in this complaint, you're going to have to prove it. How would you possibly know this? It's not like she can just walk into the studio and, I mean, what does Heels do? Does she do the accounting? Does she keep the books? What does she do? I didn't even know there was a business. Helped run the Queen Bee channel and conspires with Queen Bee to produce videos defaming and harassing plaintiff. See Exhibit A. I did not look at, I'm not going to say I didn't look at any of her exhibits. I tried. You know how when you open up the document in your email, it's got the little thumbnails all down the side? I attempted to click on several of those links, none of which worked. Wow. That's an epic fail, Betty. So not like, Betty, do you have someone embedded? B. Tim, are you a rogue? Like, are you a rogue mod? Are you in the mod protection program? Does Betty have one of you on the payroll? Have one of you turned state's evidence and given Betty the ability, the information that will prove Heels conspires? Who knew this is like this omerta kind of deal? I didn't know. I didn't know this was an omerta situation, but apparently it is. Shouldn't this be filed under the RICO statute? That's kind of what it's starting to sound like. See, Exhibit A. Bitch, half of your exhibits didn't even work, so I must confess, I don't know what Exhibit A is. I don't care. Whatever it is, it cannot possibly prove the allegation you just made. You cannot prove that anyone is conspiring. I mean, words matter, Betty. And here on YouTube, many people collaborate, like you and Dolly. Just saying. Oh, I think I'm going to be the Ashley Banfield of this case. Number 13, on or about January 5th, 2022, appears. Okay, remember when I said very awkward wording throughout? Here we go. On or about January 5th, 2022, appears to be the first defaming video about plaintiff. Queen Bee received around 950 views since its release date. Well, that sounds mighty low. And Betty, this is kind of like when that illiterate viper, Prayer Garden of America, when she tries to sound smart by saying something like, if you would like to come upon panel, I will give you a link. That stupid bitch thinks that using the word upon incorrectly makes her sound like some kind of Rhodes Scholar. That statement kind of gives me PG vibes. Yeah, because Betty using received rather than appear to have had X amount of views. It's awkward wording. If it were me, this is what I would have said. On or about January 5th of 2022. Appears to be the first defaming video about the plaintiff. I just would have said the first video in which the plaintiff was defamed was published on or about. See how like very clear and easy to understand that is? Here's what's not clear and easy to understand. On or about January 5th, 2022 at 4:27 and 12 seconds appears to be the first defaming video about plaintiff. Well, bitch, who else would it be defaming? This is about you, dumbass. Doesn't it go without saying? It's awkward. It's redundant. It's saying words just for the sake of saying them because you think it makes you sound smart. It doesn't. Oh, I wrote awkward. And right after Queen Bee received, how about the video got about 590 views? I put hardly a box office juggernaut. Moving on. Number 14. Defendants conspire with others on social media platforms, including, but not limited to, Discord and other social media platforms like Discord to conspire. What the fuck? Do you see what I'm saying about this? This happened over and over and over. I had to go back and read these 2 or 3 times because the wording is so incredibly awkward. It is not pleasant to the ear, and it is not pleasant to the eye. And it makes more work for the poor bastard reading this, if it ever gets there. Defendants conspire with others on social media platforms, including but not limited to Discord and other social media platforms like Discord. Hey, idiot, the judge understands when you say defendants conspire with others on social media platforms, including but not limited to Discord and other social media platforms like Discord. You could have just said, and other social media platforms. You've already mentioned Discord. To coordinate and conspire to attack, harass, and cause disruption to the plaintiff. Those are some awful big allegations. And I want to know, how are you going to prove there is a conspiracy? Are we going to use the RICO standard? Is that what we're going to do? What does RICO stand for? Racketeering, influence, corrupt. That's one of those, I can never remember it. I know what it deals with, and I know the purpose for the RICO statute, but I can never remember the acronym. It's racketeering in furtherance, racketeering and corrupt something. Omerta, baby, omerta. You know, Betty, you know the punishment for breaking with the omerta. Just saying. It's a blood oath, girl. That's all I'm telling you. Hey, run with scissors. Racketeer influenced and corrupt organizations. Yes, this is what I always see in my mind. Racketeering in furtherance of corrupt, and it's the O that always throws me. Okay, thank you. And this just further cements my policy that this girl does not, I've never gone to Discord. I'm never going to Discord. No, to me, Discord may as well be the dark web. Yeah, listen, here's my feelings about Discord. I see the way some of these people, the things they say and memorialize and put in writing for the whole world to access. The thought of a special site where only people you want to see can see what you're talking about. Yeah, no, I don't give a damn what. Like, I've heard all kinds of, oh no, Discord is for this and for that. No Discord for this girl. Number 15, defendants conspired to falsely report plaintiff's channel to YouTube through brigading on Twitter and encouraging others to help. Oh, there's my note. I said, do you have a secret undercover witness who will come out to testify? Number 16, defendants have published numerous false and defamatory statements about plaintiff, accusing her of criminal activity, falsely portraying her work as a journalist. Bitch, you are not a journalist unless unless you are writing for Highlights magazine, which is meant for, you know, the elementary school set when they go to the doctor's office and play at the little, you know, at the cute little wooden table with the little tiny short chairs and the, you know, the abacus looking thing with the beads. What kind of a journalist doesn't speak and or write at a college level and demonstrate college level mastery of the English language? I'm just wondering. You are not a journalist because, damn it, I dropped my press pass. Oh, Emmy, this right here is an abuse of the criminal justice, I'm sorry, of the court system, the civil system. She's a bully. She is a bully. And YouTube is her bully pulpit. And she has no business shit talking other people. She does horrible things and standing in front of someone's house and harassing either the victims or the family members of perpetrators, alleged perpetrators, or victims, etc., does not make you a journalist. I can't stand a bullshitter. And someone who wants to call themselves a journalist because somebody in prison who has a media company or had a media company at one time issued a press pass, that to me is about as legit as the one that I just dropped on the floor from Neiman Marcus and Saks Fifth Avenue. It's absurd. And it's like, girl, you do you. Live in your delusion. I don't give a shit what you call yourself. But this is not a Girl Scout we're talking about here. This is a woman with a lengthy criminal and civil history throughout her life over the course of many years. She lies all the time. Look at all the things she has done. And she wants to say that's under the guise of being a journalist and that all the rest of us are wrong and are harassing her. So, Flo, you're right. She won't know what an abacus is. Hi, Tracy Dale. How are you? No, they do not. Journalists don't stand in front of victims' homes screaming through a bullhorn. Betty, you are nothing but a self-important agitator. If you were smarter, I would say that you were some type of provocateur. You're not smart. You're not a provocateur. You're a scumbag who, this is how you live your life. You live your life in and out of court. You're constantly in and out of trouble. If being a bitch were a job, like many of your other careers, well, my God, girl, you'd have been the one to break the glass ceiling in that corporate endeavor. I mean, this is an absolute farce. She is a terrible person who has done terrible things and now wants to go after and cause inconvenience and money to people who are pointing out that she's full of shit. Like that expression I love so much. I'm not saying I hate you, but I'd unplug your life support to charge my cell phone. I mean that. she's a horrible person, in my opinion, who has managed to find a way to, with the help of social media and YouTube, where all the world seemingly wants to put their, you know, what thinking classy people know to keep their, like, you know, some of the, listen, we all say and do things that, you know, may not put us in the best light at all times. It's the ones who, like her, who are always in a bad light, and they don't have enough sense to keep their scumbag mentality to themselves. And now we want to call this a job because your nature, who you are, is aggressive, hateful, vindictive, etc. And instead of just saying, holy shit, I cannot believe, thanks to YouTube and all kinds of other social media platforms, I now have a way to capitalize my horrible personality. And people actually want to see me be me. Rest assured, folks, what you see, Bullhorn Betty and Andra Griffin are the same fucking person. That's not an alter ego. That's her. You know what the difference is? Bullhorn Betty's criminal and civil docket history is a lot cleaner than Andra's. So there is that, but give it time. Yeah. Isn't that ironic? She wants to tell you that Bullhorn Betty is that's her alter ego. Yeah, I don't have an alter ego like that. No. But her alter ego has no criminal record, unlike the real person. And instead of saying, God, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, internet provider. Thank you, cell phone technology. My God, you have given me a way to make money being me, my hateful, shitty self. And I've managed to convince some real stupid people to pay me to be me. My God, Betty, you ought to be sending a thank you note, except you're ill-mannered and you won't even know what that is. I write mine on, personalized cardstock. I like Crane's paper. Betty right now would be going, what the hell? I didn't know Cranes that made their own paper. I just, hey, Sofa King, how you doing? It's terrible. I just think it's all just such a waste of time. And this is nothing more than, it's just Betty being Betty. It's a temper tantrum that she has been foolish enough to memorialize on paper for those of us that are smart to laugh about. I'm not playing lawyer. I'm pointing out the obvious glaring, and I can promise you that she is gonna come up against the right one day. I hope I'm around to see it. Somebody's going to give her what she begs for. It's only a matter of time. You cannot go around behaving like this and think that not everybody's going to be intimidated by you, Betty. You're going to come up against some other white trash bitch just like you, who's going to lay you out flat. Because the world is full of uncivilized people. The civilized amongst us, we try and stay far away from them because, that's what comes with uncivilized people. Violence, crime. Yes, Stella, I agree. Low life. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Everybody in the chat's writing low life. Huh. Guess we're all the same like mine. Number 16. Defendants have published numerous false and defamatory statements about plaintiff, accusing her of criminal activity. Do I even need to address this? Betty? You've got multiple mugshots and coordinating arrests that demonstrate you have committed criminal activity. I mean, is that rich or what? Falsely portraying her work as a journalist. What does that mean? Defendants have published numerous false and defamatory statements about plaintiff, accusing her of criminal activity, falsely portraying her work as a journalist. The way I read that means you're falsely portraying yourself as a journalist. Is that what you mean? Because what you just said, you don't finish the thought. You just say falsely portraying her work as a journalist. Falsely portraying it is what? Real journalism? Correct. But you just leave it hanging there, so nobody knows what the fuck it means. I don't. And attempting to humiliate and damage her reputation in the eyes of her subscribers and the public. Betty, nobody on this planet has done more to harm your reputation than you. All the rest of us are doing is pointing out that you have a lengthy criminal history and you've got a lot of civil involvement as well, which, here's a newsflash for you. Most normal people, they don't go around suing and being sued. So it is truly comical that you would lead this, whoever's going to read this, the reader, that you would leave the reader of this to believe that you have been you are a fine, upstanding citizen who has been defamed by these mean, bad people, one of whom the judge has no jurisdiction over. By the way, there is that. It's absurd. And I still have no clue what this is supposed to mean. Falsely portraying her work as a journalist. I don't know what the hell that is supposed to mean. I truly don't. Falsely portraying it as what? As you being a journalist? Okay, I can get behind that. I don't understand it. And neither will the person reading it, I promise you. And I went back multiple times and read it to try and figure out what the hell is she saying? Mike, she can't. Betty, Mike's questions, Mike says, one question, how can Betty sue people in several states? She can't. She would have to file in each jurisdiction. Queen Bee is Illinois, Heels in the Air, Texas. She has only filed in Illinois. The judge in Illinois has no jurisdiction at all over Heels in the Air, and neither party has actually been served the complaint. So this is all just nothing at the moment. It's just Betty saying that, well, no, we do know she filed because it was the clerk has a copy of it. So, but trust and believe there's many problems with this. Attempting to humiliate and damage her reputation. What could we possibly do that you haven't done yourself? ZMM. That I don't know. I don't really follow the uni thing too much. Mike, I might be tempted to say the same thing. Oh, what I wrote next to that was, sorry, your reputation precedes you. Policy. Okay, we got that. Oh, here's another. I'm glad I looked at my note. Defendants have published numerous false and defamatory statements about plaintiff, accusing her as criminal activity. Hey, Betty, do you mean like the criminal activity that you yourself memorialized when you went trespassing on the private property that at one time belonged to the now convicted murderer, Alex Murdaugh, like that? Because you had no authority to be on that property. You had no permission. And that was not, I don't believe it was even at that time in the hands, I don't know if it was in a receivership. I don't know, but there were signs everywhere that posted no trespassing. And her dumbass filmed herself tripping through the daisies all over the place there. So, there is that. Do you see why this infuriates me so much? Because she's full of shit and she's a hypocrite. Number 17. Due to the actions of the defendants, plaintiff's views, compensation, and placement on YouTube platform have been diminished. It should just say have diminished. However, defendants have received increased views, compensation, and placement. The defendants, of course, the apostrophe is wrong, views for the defaming videos on June 2nd, 2023 had over 8,500 views. The most important, I'm going to read the first sentence and then we don't even need to discuss any more of this one. Due to the actions of the defendants, plaintiffs' views, compensation, and placement on YouTube platform have been diminished. Prove it. You cannot. You may be able to prove that your views, compensation, and numbers have in fact gone down. Maybe it's because you are a wretched, hateful bitch that people are catching on to. Maybe it's your own disgruntled subs. Maybe. There's so many things that cause this, and people far smarter than you, and me for that matter, have opined on all of the many reasons that could be. It happens to every single creator on this platform, unless you're, already a celebrity. We all, it's kind of like the roller coaster of life, Betty. Ups and downs and peaks and valleys and plateaus. It happens. It happens to everybody for all kinds of reasons. I dare say, not that it would ever go this far, but if this was let's just say this was a big case, this subject matter, not this pile of shit, but say these are two, social media personalities that were alleging something like this. Well, you can trust and believe there would be a statistician or what do they call, kind of like an actuary, does things with, they work with statistics for life insurance premiums and whatnot. You can trust and believe there would be a statistician on both sides, I'm sure, that would be able to do a lovely little graph, much like the kindergarten Crayola version. She screenshotted and stuck into this pile of shit somewhere as an exhibit. Betty, I could sit here and come up just off the top of my head without even thinking about it. I could come up with all kinds of reasons views could be affected. How about, I don't know, how about the weather one day? How about a storm system moves through somewhere and large swaths of people are without internet? Or maybe that accounts for an uptick on someone else's views because, oh, people are stuck at home. The roads are, they can't get to work. So more people are at home with time off watching social media. You could come up with a million reasons for that. It's not a stretch, and you don't have to do any backflips to get there. So that is an absolutely unprovable, absurd assertion among many. Well, Mike, I don't know about the alpha statement. All I know is not all women who are powerful have to behave like Betty. Okay? In fact, I would assert the exact opposite. I would assert that weak, insecure, issue-riddled women act like that. Because if you feel good inside and you feel like you've got agency in your own life, you don't have to scream at people about how smart you are and how stupid they are. And et cetera, all the other shit that he does. So if you want to call that an alpha, you call it whatever you want. I've listened. When I tell you that I know women who had her own Fox News channel show. I know, I personally know one of I don't think she was she was not the first. I know a female billionaire, self-made. And I don't just mean, I know her, fifth cousin and used to be my neighbor back in the day. No. I know her personally. And her mother is a dear friend of my mother's. They eat lunch together once a week. They don't do things like this. Those, I dare say, that is one of the most powerful women in the world. If you want to talk in terms of influence and a war chest. That's an alpha. Do you think that she would do anything like what you're calling an alpha? Alpha dog, maybe. Okay, we went over that. Number 18. Then she says something about exhibits. Number 18. Specifically during a live stream videos published. No punctuation, of course. So I'm like, what? Where am I supposed to put? Specifically during a live stream videos published on the defendant's YouTube channels, defendants made the following statements about plaintiff. Specifically during a live stream. Well, isn't live stream and video two different things? And she's got them both together. I don't even, do you see what I'm saying? I don't even know what this means. I mean, I understand the second part. Defendants made the following statements about plaintiff. But specifically during a live stream videos published on the defendant's YouTube channel. I don't know what that means. It's at best, it's incredibly awkward. No, she's not single. Neither one of them. Oh God. And they are actually both very attractive. Okay, let's see. A. Defendants accused plaintiff of stalking, harassing, and pretending to report and troll so she can make money off of unwitting people. Do you see what I mean? I just read that to you. Did you understand what I said? I'm going to read it again. And I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you understand what she's trying to say? Defendants accused plaintiff of stalking, harassing, and pretending to report and troll so she can make money off unwitting people. I don't know what that means. And troll, like someone in jurisprudence knows what that means. If I said that to my mother, who, by the way, is not in the legal system, my mom would have no earthly idea what I was saying. So that would have been the place to, put paren and say, what is euphemistically known as a troll is an agitator in a live chat or something along those lines. But she says nothing. She just acts like whoever reads this pile of shit is going to know what a troll is. I mean, I would think like Under the Bridge, the Billy Goat Scruff, what? Specifically during, oh wait, I'm sorry, we did that. I mean, I'm going to read this again because I don't get it. Defendants accused plaintiff of stalking, harassing, got that, and pretending to report what and to who? And troll. So she can make money off unwitting people. That is absolutely nonsensical. And I don't know what it means at all. B. Defendants defamed plaintiff by referring to her as a, quote, tragedy pimp, as defendant knowingly and falsely stated as fact that plaintiff does not actually look for missing people and that plaintiff only harasses and breaks the law. Yeah. You definitely harass. You absolutely, without a doubt, harass people. You harass entire neighborhoods. I mean, defendant defamed plaintiff by referring to her as a tragedy pimp. You like that? Now, if you think that your average schmuck is not going to understand what a troll is and the way it's used in this legal court document, what do you think they're going to think of a tragedy pimp? I mean, I guess most people, could come up with what they thought it meant, but it's hilarious. And I agree. I have seen her bitch and moan and whine and complain for about 20 minutes when she went to go look for that sweet little boy, that JJ that wandered away. Thank God was found. Does anybody know? I heard this. I've heard it many times. And in my chat, I've heard it a few times. Sorry, I gotta stand up. Oh God, sciatic nerve. Yep, we're at about 2.5 hours. My sciatic nerve says, you're done, bitch. I have heard people say that searches that are done, when they ask for volunteers, is it true that they run a check on you? That there's like a command, they set up law enforcement and they run a background on, I mean, obviously it can only be, a cursory check, but I've heard more than once that that's the case. And someone even said that was the reason Betty was off on her own when looking for that, when purporting to look for that little boy. All she did was hold. I mean, it's pretty hard to look in the middle of the woods when you're busy holding a selfie stick so that you get your best angle. Live streaming and complaining about stickers because you wore what I'm assuming were probably some kind of a polyester blend legging. I would love to know if that's actually a true thing that they do that, because that would explain things. But yeah, I mean, Betty wants you to believe that she's out, tromping through the woods. I mean, I don't know. On that point right there, on the looking for missing people, I'm going to give her a little bit of credit there. Now, that doesn't mean that I think she's doing it for any altruistic reasons. I do not. It's only done in furtherance of her own channel. But I think she could actually, she can make a case for, yes, I do actually look for people. Now, like I said, that doesn't mean that I believe it's for altruistic motives. I think it's all in self-promotion. But I think she could demonstrate that, because she'd show Summer Wells. I mean, when she wasn't busy getting the Wells fired from their jobs, she could show herself going through town, stopping here, there, everywhere. I'll give her a little bit of a, I'll give a little on that, because I mean, to me, I mean, I'm giving you my true thoughts on it. I'm not, just because I can't stand her, that doesn't mean I can't give her credit where credit is due. So I think she could make a case, if it ever came to it, I think she could make a case for, well, no, they say I don't search for people, but look, I'm here. That is leaving up for interpretation your definition of searching, how long you think looking qualifies as searching, and what the motivations were. So there is that. C. Defendants have stated with impunity that plaintiff is exploiting victims by covering their cases on plaintiff's YouTube channel, although defendant's channel covers the same type of cases, which she also derives profit from. Well, Betty, you know what one very notable difference is? Those channels, they don't travel to locations where either victims' families live or alleged perpetrators' families live, who, by the way, are not, charged in the crime. Sometimes we don't even have an arrest yet, and go and scream and yell and disturb the peace, and just basically overtake the whole neighborhood with their antics. That's a very notable difference. And she did say defendants, right? Defendants. Here again, she says defendants have stated with impunity. Dot, 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 dot. And then we go to, although the defendants channel cover the same type of cases which she also derives profit from. Do you see what I mean? She goes from speaking of a group to singular. It is so, to me, it's like a look inside of her mind. Hey, Sue, how you doing? Hey, Earth, how are you, girl? She can't, it's just bizarre to me. It is so bizarre. And she does it over and over and over. You start off the sentence talking about the defendants, plural, and then we move to she, singular. And it's not a little thing. This is a legal, well, I hate to say it's a legal document, but it has become a legal document. It has been filed with the clerk of the court. It is a complaint in a lawsuit. So it's a legal document. And it's riddled with issues. It's like, what? I don't understand. She does it over and over and over. D. I'm just looking at my notes to make sure. D. Defendants have conspired on their YouTube channels with others. And you notice I'm pausing, but that's not because there's any punctuation anywhere in here that would indicate a pause. No, that's me. Hey, hippie. That's me trying to make this listenable for you. I'm inserting my own punctuation. Defendants have conspired on their YouTube channels with others to take plaintiff's channel out. What is this, Mission Impossible? To take defendant's channel out. How about a little more professional would have been to say, defendants have conspired on their YouTube channels along with others to have plaintiff's YouTube channel removed from the platform. I mean, I know that doesn't sound as professional as conspire to take out plaintiff's YouTube channel. God, you're an idiot. Truly, this shows you her mindset, okay? You want to tell me that a woman who says, here's what I'd be willing to bet. Up here where Betty says, defendants have stated with impunity. I guarantee you that bitch has no idea what that means. None. And you know how I know that? Because all of this is so awkward. It's hard. It's convoluted. It's awkward to read. She hears or sees buzzwords. And she thinks that by using them, it makes her sound smart. When in the same sentence, she says, defendants have conspired on their YouTube channels to take plaintiff channel out by mass reporting the channel on Twitter, which is what YouTube refers to as brigading, causing disruption to plaintiff's live stream in a coordinated attack to, quote, flash mob plaintiff's chat and to further disrupt business practices. I have no earthly idea what any of that shit means. I mean, when she says, which is what YouTube refers to as brigading, comma, causing disruption to plaintiff's live stream in a coordinated attack to flash mob plaintiff's chat and to further disrupt business practices. So is a flash mob, like, I know what that means when you see like groups of people dancing in the mall. That's what I think of when I hear flash mob. Is she saying that brigading, she should have defined it, number one, much like, listen, Betty, when you are speaking colloquially or using euphemisms, which are somewhat new to the lexicon, you should have either I mean, God knows you've included like 100 friggin' pages of exhibits. You couldn't have like typed a little glossary of terms. I'm sure whoever the poor bastard is that gets this would have appreciated it very much. Or you could have defined it right there. I don't know if what she's trying to say is mass reporting the channel on Twitter, comma, which is what YouTube refers to as brigading, comma. And here we go. Here's a fragmented, awkward thing just stuck in there that I have no idea what it means. Causing disruption to plaintiff's live stream in a coordinated attack to flash mob plaintiff's chat and to further disrupt business practices. Yeah, no, there was no punctuation. And when there's, hey, Betty, I guess you missed this day in school. The reason we have punctuation, you know, amongst the many, but one of the biggest reasons we use punctuation is for that very thing I just did. When you don't use punctuation, the reader, number one, has to read over and over what it is you're trying to say. And it's just a fragmented thought in a run-on sentence. So much of this is just one big run-on. And it's hard to know what the fragments are supposed to mean in relation to the rest of the. I do not know what that means that she just said. I get the brigading. YouTube refers to as brigading. Okay. The way I read it, mass reporting on Twitter, which is what YouTube refers to as brigading. Okay. But then we just have comma, causing the last punctuation mark, causing disruption to plaintiff's live stream in a coordinated attack to flash mob plaintiff's chat to further disrupt, blah, blah, blah. And my note to myself, I speak YouTube at least semi-fluently. And if I don't get it, do you honestly think the audience for that document, do you think anybody else is going to get it? And truly, like, I'm done with this. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes. And I'm on page 5. Now, I know I spoke at least an hour before we actually got rolling on this, but I would think that y'all would agree with me that it is poorly written. It is poorly thought out, which is probably why it's poorly written. It's ill-conceived. It's poorly thought out. It's poorly written. it contains just nothing but numerous fragmented, run-on, convoluted statements. Brigading is talking about when Molly was reported through Twitter. Okay, I got that part. But, and see, even Wine, Crime, and Mayhem says, I think she's referring to all of the different blank screens popping into her chat on a live stream as a flash mob. I mean, look, all of us, we have channels, and we're not even sure what she's, and I'm going to go with Wine, Crime, and Mayhem because I'm going to say, you know more than I do. I can go with that. But have you ever heard flash mob in relation to your chat getting spammed? I mean, is that what I think of as spamming the chat? Audacity, you are absolutely correct. This to me, I would never in 1,000,000 years think or believe that this is the product of one who has a legal education and using the term with impunity. That doesn't mean you're smart, and it doesn't mean you have a legal education. I'd say you have very little understanding of a lot of things. Oh, that's a shame. Sorry to say they found the Titan sub in pieces and the crew perished from an implosion. Oh, that's a shame. I didn't really follow that too much, but that's a shame. Prayers for their family. I hope it was quick and they never knew what hit them. I think they probably knew for a little while, but I hope not. That's brutal. I was listening to Queen Bee from, I think, yesterday, just a little while ago, and she was talking about that very thing. And people were, just saying, I would never. My dad was in the Navy, and I think he actually was on a sub at one time. I could be wrong. I not on any, like, he was, my dad was in Vietnam. I seem to think I remember him talking about being on a sub for a short period of time. I could never, no way. I'm not a claustrophobic person, per se, but like anytime I have to have an MRI, as soon as I get on the table, long before it goes into the tunnel, and I go to a place where it's open, but the minute, like, they come out and, Lisa, can you come with me, please? I mean, the second they say, here's your little gown and you can get on the table, the minute I lay down on that table, I close my eyes and I don't open them again until the machine goes off and you feel it moving out of the. So yeah, the idea of being, listen, I don't even like. I've been on a few cruises, and I'm not even a huge fan of a cruise. Just because the ocean, like, especially growing up in Florida, you learn early on that I don't go in the ocean, like, not past my knees. I don't swim in the ocean. The only exception to that was when I was in St. Thomas. I snorkeled there, but that's only because it's crystal clear. And trust me, I didn't go far offshore. But Gulf of Mexico, where I live, we have the Gulf and the Atlantic, but neither one. I just don't. I'm not a fan of. Not a fan of the ocean. It's beautiful to look at, but I don't. No, and no, I would never go on. There are people who are really into that kind of adrenaline. I mean, I know that maybe in terms of what people usually think of as adrenaline hobbies, I mean, it may not be something that goes fast, but it takes, well, pardon the expression, but it takes a lot of balls to seal yourself in a very small, underwater. No, it's a shame. Wait, no, what happened? Who's PCT? So Dolly told them. I tell you what, some of these people have lost all perspective. And I don't give a shit if you've got 25,000 subs or what it is. Do you realize the volume of subs, creators, and traffic on YouTube? Do you think even 25,000 subs is anything in the big scheme of things? It's not. That thing, see, here's what I kept hearing. Oh, paper cut. Bitch, you need to go buy yourself some curtains and quit worrying about what everybody else is doing. Because, you're, ew, gross. Go get some curtains. Yeah, I think I changed my stance on her. I think a lot of people have changed their stance on her. A lot of people thought she was, this sweet little innocent thing that Dolly he talks so mean to her sometimes. Well, yeah, I'm sure he does. I don't listen to him, so I don't know. But that seems to be a weird. But don't worry, Dolly will break up with his latest girlfriend, and then she'll find herself at Queen Bee's channel, like they all usually do. Yeah. Oh, I dare say Tina will end up there at some time too. Funny how that happens. They all end up over there. Oh, Emmy, she couldn't, huh? Listen, Betty, I would say that, girl, hate the player, don't hate the game. It's a dirty game, girl. If you're losing viewers, well, maybe it could be because people are just catching on to the fact that, number one, you're not very nice. Do you ever go back and watch yourself? I would highly recommend it if you don't. Because, that's how I watch all of my lives back. Typically, not too long after I do them. It's how I know. I do some very annoying things that I really am trying not to do as much anymore, like playing with my hair. And I swear to you, it's almost an unconscious thing I do. But I can sit back and watch that and go, God, that is so annoying. You've got to stop doing that. Can you imagine Betty watching herself and being able to say anything at all that maybe she should try and work on? Or I bet you she would say no. Oh, I would beg to differ. But maybe this right here is the death blow to her shitty channel. It would be fabulous if she was her. I think I've always said she will be her own undoing because she can't help herself. She, as her criminal record clearly indicates, she is incapable of taking direction criticism, that is a juvenile mindset. That is how teenagers think. Teenagers and unsuccessful adults. But, you know, people who have achieved anything in life by working at it. I mean, most people have a boss. And Betty, your boss, well, would be your audience, I would imagine. I'm sure to that she would say, fuck them, I know better. I mean, Betty, you're just not likable. You're a gimmick as far as I'm concerned. I have heard people, like Mike Stevens is one, I would, in fact, I've asked Mike many times, Mike, because I let Mike come over here and cheerlead for Betty, and I let it go on. I mean, Mike and we're like this. I've let it go on. Even Mike himself would admit, since the first day he came in here, he used to tell me that I was the most beautiful blonde on YouTube. Now he tells me I'm the second most beautiful, second only to Betty. And you know, I tease Mike all the time and I say, Mike, does Betty let you go over there and cheerlead for me? Can you imagine how that would go over? And Mike, I know you don't. Don't you lie to me and tell me you do, because I've seen her where she has greeted you. Hi, Mike Stevens. And I don't see you saying, I don't see like little C and F and then a heart, or I don't see you putting like a dress and shoes and a heart in the chat for me. You don't need to. But you know what I'm saying? She never, if Mike Stevens dared to go to Betty's channel, and he does, he goes to Betty, he loves Betty. And I've never said, Mike, you cannot come to my channel if you like Betty. Hell no. I even let him sit in my chat and sing her praises. Now, when it gets absurd and he starts to annoy the rest of the chat, I put the kibosh on it. But my point is, Betty would not for 1 second, if Mike dared to say, well, Betty, I love Crimes and Fashion. She's second only to you in brains and beauty. She would say, no. Do you want to get blocked? You don't. No, you do. No, you do not talk about other people in my chat. No, 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 no. She would go off the deep end. Oh my God. You know exactly what she would do. So Betty, maybe people are just finally catching on, because much like Mike Stevens, I have heard, not from many people, but I have heard from other people, they'll say something like, well, I just like that Betty, Betty brings attention to things. Did any of y'all ever notice that Betty only covers very large cases that have national attention? And I mean, I'm sorry, call me a cynic, but my guess is that she does that to, I don't know, bring attention to herself. So I can sit back and say, okay, I can give somebody that we all like to see somebody every once in a while who will act the damn fool and who will like get up in somebody's face. And so I can appreciate the sentiment for just a little teeny period, like the initial. I can see where if if you are of that mindset and you do like to see people get confrontational and whatnot, especially in a not so smart way, more, let's just say, brawn than brain, I can see how you could maybe be attracted to that. But she doesn't have staying power, in my opinion. I think that there's only so much that hateful screaming, nastiness. She's a malcontent, like she's never happy. She never has a nice thing to say about anybody. Just on and on. So, maybe that could be it, Betty. Maybe people are just finally, every dog has his day. All good things must come to an end. Maybe people are, finally, listen, everybody, we'll use a turn of phrase I heard you use earlier. Come to Jesus. Everybody has a come to Jesus at some point. And, who knows what each individual person has their own, like, do not stop, do not pass go. I'm done. This is it. There's no coming back from it. And maybe this pile of shit right here, I don't know. Maybe that's it for some of your subs. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I don't care. But you are very easy to read. You're basically, just to sum it all up and wrap this up, you are a middle school to high school girl, intellect and emotional intelligence and maturity, trapped in a well into middle age, rapidly barreling towards older age, unsuccessful, unaccomplished woman. And you're also not very well liked by your peers. You know that, right? I mean, we all have little personality conflicts. This one doesn't like that one and whatnot. And we just choose not to watch, or we hate watch, whatever the case may be. But, most of us anyway, because there's lots of people on here. I mean, most people I like. But there are some that I can't stand. But even most of those, I can find something nice to say, because nobody likes someone who just is so negative. You're just so negative all the time. You never have a nice thing to say. It's always somebody else's fault. You're one of the few people on here who I really struggle to say something complimentary about. And frankly, I've just given up because I don't think you deserve it. You're hateful. You're just not a nice person to me. So I don't know. I think I'm really not I'm not that far out there. I'm pretty much the norm, I think. And I get different strokes for different folks, but I think that what you think is your coup d'etat, I think it's going to be the death blow. I think you just can't get out of your own way. And I think you have, even people who've given you the benefit of the doubt for a long time, I think this pile of shit right here, this is a bitch move. This is a punk bitch move. It's a petty, jealous bitch move in an effort to stifle someone else because Betty wants what she wants. and she's going to take her toys and go home. And you're used to being able to intimidate and bully people, and it's not working with them, and you're jealous. I mean, and have you thought about the fact that you do know that you've got almost twice the subs as Queen Bee? So there is that. It's like, how's that work? That they've caused you all this harm, but you've got twice the subs. So we'll see where this all goes and how it shakes out. But ultimately, my prediction is this goes absolutely nowhere. And I think Betty, much like she did on TikTok, and picked up her toys and left and found a new playground and came to YouTube. Well, I think that the same will happen here, and she'll go find another platform. You know, who knows? Maybe this is a pattern. Maybe it often is with people like her. You know, people who have a lot of baggage, we'll just say. People who want to put forth that they are something other than what they really are. You know, it's kind of like when the new kid moves into town and all the kids want to check out the new kid. And the new kid's probably on his best behavior because he's trying to make friends. I have a feeling that I wouldn't be surprised if this has just been a pattern of going from place to place, and when finally you've wrung everything out of that place that you're going to, or you think you're going to, well, then you just pick up and you move to a new place where you're not as well known. I don't know. She's not that hard. Trust me on this. Of this, I know that he's not deep. She's not complicated. She's not hard to understand. I mean, lots of things she does are like, I don't get it, but I get the type. The world is full of Bettys. Well, at least for me, and probably you, we're just not used to being in such close quarters with them, you know? We're not exposed to people like this on the daily. And I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not going to opine on why that might be, but I could. But I think I've said enough. This is 3 hours. Nobody. I'm done. Lisa out. So, all right, everybody. I hope y'all have a fantastic day. What's today? Is this Tuesday? Wednesday? Jesus, I don't know what day of the week it is. I've had a lot going on in the family the last couple of days, so which everything is well. Thank you for those of you that asked. I do appreciate it. All is well. So I'll figure out what day it is. I think it's Wednesday. Is it Thursday? Oh, look at your watch, dumbass. Oh, hell, it's Thursday. That means tomorrow's Friday. Yes. See, there's always a bright side. Okay. All right, everybody. Have a fantastic day. I don't know if I'll be around tomorrow, but if not, over the weekend. All right, y'all. Till we meet again. Have a fantastic day. Bye. Mike, make sure you go tell Betty I said hi. When I hear her greet you, Mike, I want to hear you say, hi, Crimes and Fashion. You can just call me Lisa. You don't have to call me Crimes and Fashion. You don't have to fully put yourself on blast.